Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's Monday Motivation. And I want to start by recalling something that you may have heard before. It's a saying by Henry Ford, and it goes a little something like this: whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. So what does that mean, and why is that a secret affirmation? So forgive me for the very scratchy throat. I've just got over the tail end of a cold, but I wanted us to all join together today just to talk about something that I sometimes call our secret affirmations. And sometimes there are things in life that we are wanting to either strive for, or wanting to do, or wanting to share, or anything else. So many of my clients come to me and say, Jenny, I want to do this thing. Can you help me with this? And underneath it is what I call the silent affirmation. So, in the spirit of motivating not only your Monday, but your week, and it could even be your month, let's get down to what motivates you and what a silent affirmation means. So the first thing is, think about a time when there was something that you wanted to do or to achieve and didn't quite make it. And that sounds a bizarre thing to start off with for a motivation, but think about that. And then think about a time when you did something, you weren't sure of the outcome, you weren't sure, whether or how it was going to be done, but you got there. Now, within those two thoughts, there are two very different mindsets. And if you can't think of something right now on the spot, just make a note of those questions and go back to them. Because underneath all of that, is your key to getting or achieving the thing that you want to achieve. And here's how. Quite often, we have a thought or an idea or a plan. And what I've seen, both in myself and in some of the people around me, is that we set out to achieve that thing, to do that thing. But it's the secret affirmation that gets in the way. So let me give you an example. Some of you have known me of old and know that I have helped many people to speak out authentically, which helps them connect with their communication, whether that's in a presentation or whether that's as they're kind of speaking and doing this kind of thing online to a camera. And I distinctly remember many years ago having somebody who came to me and asked me for help. They said, Jenny, I really want to be able to stand up and speak, but every time I do that, I go bright red. And this person wanted to be able to stand up and talk at meetings, or at least interact and engage at meetings. Their manager had given them some feedback that they needed just to be a bit more engaged and a bit more interactive. This person also aspired to speak, to be a public speaker, and although they recognised that they didn't want to do it just then, it was something they were wanting to do in the distance, in the not too near future. And they said to me, I'm going to be getting married next year, and every time, the thought I think of people looking at me, I go red. And I was just like, stop right there. What's the worst thing that could happen? What's the worst thing that could happen to you if you spoke out in the meeting, if you, walked into the room at your wedding, if you were to give a presentation and they said, I always go red, I always get embarrassed, and I always just mess things up. Now, what was interesting to me was the secret affirmation. You see, the reason why this person quite simply got to that place every time they had to speak in a meeting or had to give a presentation or went red was because the secret affirmation wasn't, I want to give an awesome presentation, or I want to stand up in the meeting and have everyone really get what I say and understand what I'm about. The secret affirmation was, every time I speak, I go red. I'm worried about when I speak that I'll mess up. Can you see what happens there? There's also another saying, and I can't remember who's originally said this, but kind of like energy goes where focus focus goes, where energy flows, and vice versa. So what this really means is that if your thing in life is that you want to get out there, you want to stand out, you want to perhaps get something done, and you're running a secret affirmation in the background that says, if I do this thing, this will happen. So in the example that I gave just a few moments ago, if I stand up and give presentations, I will go red. That is what's known as a silent affirmation. So what are you affirming today? What are you affirming in the things that you want to do? How could you look for something better instead? So if, for example, you're affirming, every time I give a presentation, I'm going to go red, just ask yourself this one question. What would be better than going red? Or what would you rather do instead of going red? And take a moment to write it down. Quite often we've got so much information swimming around our heads. There's something quite magical that happens when you put pen to paper and write things down. So just to say hello to those of you that have popped on, good to see you. I can't see you, so don't worry. So write that down. Write down the thing that comes to mind. What would be better than, or what would you prefer rather than? What would you prefer instead of going red every time you spoke? So I asked this client the question, and you might think the answer would be, oh, not to go red. But actually, it's often something far bigger, far greater. Why not make that into your affirmation instead of the thing that you don't want? So next time you're going to go into a situation, go into an experience and want to do something, and there's something that's stopping you, ask yourself what that thing could be, and just listen out for your own silent affirmation. I often joke about having the pill of noticing, and the pill of noticing is just to notice not only what comes out of your mouth, and you don't want to try and change what comes out of your mouth. All you want to do is notice either what you verbally say when you're affirming something, when you're wanting to do something, or even what I call the inner dialogue, the stuff that's going on underneath the surface. So if you find yourself about to go and present in a meeting and you stand up, and a few seconds before find a little inside voice saying, you know what, I'm not going to be very good at this, I'm going to go red, I'm going to mess up, I'm going to get my words jumbled, then there's two things to pay attention to. One is just to notice what you're saying. Don't try and change it in that moment in time. Just make a note of it and write it down. And the other one is just to have a look and ask yourself the question, what would I rather have instead of the thing that you've just said? Write that down and let that be an affirmation that works for you. I could stand here and tell you hundreds and reel off hundreds and hundreds of affirmations, or hundreds and hundreds of things that people have said that they've wanted in the past. But it's really important that if it's you and you're doing it for yourself, that you come up with the thing that you want to do. So I hope this has motivated you to have a look at whatever you want to achieve in your life, whether it's in health, in relationships, in professional or personal life. I'm sending you so many great things for your day and for your week. And thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week. And if by chance you are either an ambitious professional person, or you have a business and you're looking for a tribe of like-minded people with a really high vibe, then why not join the Facebook group that I have. It's a closed Facebook group, so although people know that you're in the group, they can't see what you post unless you're in the group. So head on over to the Facebook group, or head over to Facebook and search for the Visibility Vibe Tribe. All are welcome, and I look forward to seeing you in there. Bye for this week.